When the motivation is gone, it's about being consistent till the motivation comes back.
Leave me alone. Go Wild West. Give me your phone. Going out west. Leave me alone.
What happens when a United States Marine sits down and has a conversation with a clinical psychologist? What's going on, everybody? I'm Demetrius Thigpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and the neighborhood psychologist standing next to me is RT Merritt. You know what's going on with it, bro?
What's good, bro? How you doing today? What we talking about today, bro?
Oh man, like you hit me with the what we talking about
Yeah,
today.
I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
right. I hear that, man. Like, so today, man, what we talking about is how to keep going even on the days that you want to quit. Now, I gotta keep it a buck with you, bro, because this episode, man, like initially I had no thought on this episode. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I had no thought on this episode, and it really just came about throughout the week.
Okay.
So obviously, you know, I create content, and
Absolutely.
one thing about me, bro, is that I'm very hypercritical. I'm very hypercritical of myself.
Yeah.
And that stems from just wanting to succeed so bad. You know what I mean? Like I've always just I want to have success. I want to feel success. I want to be successful. So I'm very hypercritical of myself.
Gotcha.
And this week somebody comes up to me, they walk up to me, they're like, "Hey, Staff Sergeant, I just want to tell you that your content, you know, is good." And I was like, "This, I appreciate that." You know what I mean? Like I kind of shrugged it off. I was like, "This, hey, I appreciate that, man. Thank you."
Gotcha.
Literally, the next day, somebody comes up to me and they're like, "This, hey, Staff Sergeant, man, like I see you on Instagram, man, and I love you. I love your content." And I'm like, "This, I hear that, man. I appreciate that."
Gotcha.
Now, the thing is that like I'm battling, you know, I'm going back and forth with how the content looks. I'm going back and forth with how it sounds. I'm going back and forth with how many views it gets, and I'm just dissecting it constantly, man. So people are coming up to me and they're telling me that they appreciate it, but at the exact same time, I can't appreciate the fact that they're appreciating me. And we go to this, you know, they let us know like, "Hey, you know, the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is going to come by and, you know, talk to y'all." And I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, like, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is going to come by and talk to everybody. I hear that, you know, whatever he's got to say, you know, I'm all about it. So to give a little bit context, man, I know a couple of people that are listening right now, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those who are not in the military, the 20th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is coming to come speak to the Marines at at the Staff Academy, so at our career course essentially. So
Okay.
as he comes in, they tell us to sit in the front row. Bro, I ain't sat in the front row of something in a long time. I'm gonna be honest with you. Man, you know I ain't trying to sit in the front row. You know
Right.
what I mean? I want to be in the back, you know, just in case they hear me snicker or, you know, I sneeze, or if I need to get up and go to the bathroom. You know, but I'm sit up in the front row, bro. And I tell you right now, when you sit in the front row, that make your whole posture change. You got to sit up there
Absolutely.
like, all right, you know, let me make sure ain't nobody, you know, I make sure I look good, make sure I am doing good.
Yeah.
So he walks in. He walks in, you know, he addresses a couple of people. He looks at the crowd, scans the audience, and then he stops and he looks dead at me. And I'm like, "Good afternoon, Sergeant Major." And he says, "I know you." And I'm
Whoa.
like, he was like this, "I like your content."
Wow.
And I'm like, now I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm gonna
Okay.
be completely honest with you. This is the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. He coming to
Right.
come speak to all the Marines. And he says that he knows who I am. Immediately, I'm in trouble. Immediately, I'm thinking to myself, like, "Oh, I'm in trouble."
Right.
And when he says, "I like your content," it took me by surprise, man, because I was sitting there and I'm like, the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps knows who I am.
Right.
The Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps has seen my content
That's a huge
and
deal.
likes it.
Right.
The guy next to me, he nudged me and I'm like, brings me back into reality. And I'm like, "Oh shoot. Like I forgot that I was there." I was like this, you know, cause I'm starstruck. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm flabbergasted. So
Absolutely.
right after the event, you know, he addresses the crowd. He looks over at me, you know, asked me my name. And after everything was over with, I got a chance because I was like this. And I tell you this right now, bro. I brought my book. I brought my book with me.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, I didn't know if the sergeant major knew me, but I knew who the sergeant major was. I knew
Gotcha.
exactly who he was. And I was like this, the sergeant major of the Marine Corps, I'm going to give him my book. I'm going to give him my
Smart.
book.
Yeah.
And I brought my book with me. I had been sitting in the audience the entire time holding my book. So when he had said, like, I know who you are, I almost messed the book up. I grabbed it so hard. I was like, this. I'm like, hold on now. Hold on now. Keep it together. Keep it together. So after everything was over with, he leaves and I almost lose him. You know what I mean? Like I almost lose him in the crowd. And I was looking around trying to find him. And when I couldn't find him, I was just like this. All right, man. Well, just take it, take it for what it is. Next time you see him, just make sure that you give him your book, next time you see him. And the master sergeant who's in charge of everybody, he says like, hey, Thigpen, sergeant major's right over there. And I run, bro. Now, mind you, I ain't running to nobody. I don't usually be running to everybody. I'll walk. I'll speed it up. But I'm over there running to the sergeant major of the Marine Corps. And I finally gather myself and I start walking to him. And he looks over at me and he goes in and shakes my hand. I reach out and he pulls me in and he says, I like your content.
Mm.
And at this point right now, I'm like this, like, oh, he really did say that.
Right.
And he went on to even say, he was like this, like, I see your content. It pops up in my feed. You're a little abrasive. However, I'm like this. Oh, he's tracking. Oh, he has definitely seen my content. Absolutely. And he was like this, but I know you do that to get their attention because the things that you're talking about are hard conversations that need to be had. And I can tell that you really love the Marine Corps because of the conversations that you're having.
Absolutely.
Bro, I've 13 years in the United States Marine Corps. I'm really at a loss for words. You know what I mean? Like I'm really at a loss for words.
Got you.
And I walked away from the situation. I gave him my book. He even let me sign it. You know what I mean? Like I was able to get a sergeant major of the Marine Corps a signed copy of my book, which blew my mind in its own right. Right. And I walk away, man, and I'm saying to myself, like, dog, man, like if he would have known, a year ago, months ago, that I wanted to quit doing all of this, like you really don't know who's watching you. You really don't know how your content's resonating with somebody. You don't know how your actions are resonating with somebody. And I felt like in that moment right there, it just really showed me that the direction that I'm walking in is the right direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bro, I got a question for you and the audience. My question for you, I actually got two questions. The first question, bro, for you is, what did that do to your confidence? Like you said, was that a driving force to make you want to go harder?
Oh, man, I immediately became him. Okay. You know what I mean? Let me rephrase that because I've been him.
Absolutely.
Okay. I immediately became Himothy Neutron in that moment.
Okay.
When he said he knew me, and then he pulled me in and told me like he likes my stuff. I'm like this, like, bro, no matter what anybody is telling you, no matter what anybody has ever said about your stuff, no matter what any critique you've ever got, you just the man who's the senior enlisted advisor for the United States Marine Corps, the organization that you've been in for the past 13 years, just looked at you and told you that he liked your content.
Right.
And if that's not something to reassure you, Demetrius, then I don't know what is anymore. You know, and I walked away, bro. Like I tell you to put words into action, bro. I jumped up in the air when nobody else was watching.
Got you.
You ever seen it in the movies? Like when I walked away, I kept my composure, and when I looked around, I did one of these. I looked, and I jumped up in the air, and I was like, "Just let's go." No, that's how I felt.
But my second question for you, bro, is why do you think, and the same for the audience, a lot of times I think we are our own worst critics, and a lot of times we don't celebrate the little wins as much as we should. Because my question for you, bro, is why didn't you feel the same way when other people gave you that same compliment? Was it just because of his status, or Was it like a snowball effect where it was so many people told you at once and he was just like the finishing touch?
I think, to be honest with you, the reason why it didn't resonate, and when I say this, is not that I'm not grateful, but I feel like I was complacent in the gratitude. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because I've had junior Marines come up to me and tell me that they seen my content before. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've had sergeants, I've had my own peers come up to me and tell me that they've seen my content before. I've always had people at my level or junior than me come up to me and be like this, like, "Oh, I've seen your content." I'm like this, I appreciate that. And it's always
Right.
just been there. But
Gotcha.
I've never been, it hit a little different for me to have somebody of such high standing, you know what I mean, within our organization to come up to me and be like, "Yo, like, I've seen your content." And not only that, he recognized it in front of a room full of over 100 people to say
Gotcha.
like, "Yo, I've seen that Marine's content."
Gotcha. Gotcha. That
Now, my question is, oh
go
no,
ahead,
go
bro.
ahead, bro.
No, go
No,
ahead,
no.
bro. I was gonna say, bro,
Now,
I think that makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? Because I think, like you said, a couple of months ago, you were thinking about quitting. You know what I mean? And
mhm.
I think I'm a firm believer, bro, that you get to where you want to be, but not how you envisioned it, basically. So it's like, you know,
Mm,
yeah, like a lot of times I think we all have these goals and dreams where we get to where we want to be, but not how we envision it. Because a lot of times we think this path is going to get me here. But a lot of times, if you just go the path that you are designed to go, you look back and be like, damn, thank God I didn't go that way because that could have prolonged it even more. You know what I mean? So, like you said, I think by you having to go through all the trials and tribulations that led you into that room with him. You know what I mean? But you never would have envisioned it being that way if you would have just went off your goals and your beliefs. Like you wanted to make it a whole different way, I bet. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times that's just me telling somebody right now, trust the process. You know what I mean? It may not look
mm,
like you're headed in your right direction, but if you got faith and you trust the process, you're going to get to where you want to go. It just might not be how you envisioned it. So don't quit and keep going because the faith is what you need to get you
mm, come on now, RT. Come on now.
there. Yeah.
Come on now. And I feel like that right there, man, that resonates with me, man. And I don't know if you did that intentionally or if that just came out naturally. Hey,
Right.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right.
Like I don't know, I don't know if you've been standing over my shoulder during those rough days, man. But how many times have I told myself that this wasn't the direction that I wanted to go, but here I am now in this direction. This
Facts.
isn't how I envisioned it, but look at the people. Like, bro, like when I first started, man, like, I remember making content thinking that I would be the next Inky Johnson, you know what I mean?
Got you.
Or the next Steve Harvey,
Yeah.
and now here I am impacting people within my community.
Facts.
That caught me off guard because that wasn't the intent, bro. That was
Yeah.
never the intent.
Yeah.
I had a completely different idea. And
Right.
so when you said that, man, that one really resonated with me.
Thank you, bro. And I hope that it resonates with everybody, bro, because when I say that, a lot of times we don't even realize that we inspire people that pretend not even to watch us. You know what I mean? A lot of times we're working and we're not getting that, that recognition that we think that we deserve. But it goes back to kind of like Instagram. Think about it. On your post, when you post something, you might get 10 goddamn likes. You know what I mean? But in your story, you got 500 people watching you. You know what I mean? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're watching for a reason. So sometimes, like we just said, you don't think it's your direction because you don't get the likes, but trust me, they're watching. And if you work hard enough, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get in any room that you want to as long as you believe in you. Because a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
it's not who you think you are that holds you back. It's who you think you're not. You know what I mean? Like you said, we go and be like, well, I can't be him. You know what I mean? No, you're not supposed to. You're designed to be somebody else, but you got to trust you. You know what I mean? Because Inky Johnson's process, is totally different. So his outcome is going to be different. And the same for you. And that's why you got that type of recognition, because you was at the right place at the right time and you walked that path.
Hey man, I didn't even know if I needed this episode. I didn't know if I needed this episode, but RT, you saying some shit that's resonating with me right now. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Especially like, man, man, that one really resonated. RT, I ain't even about to lie to you
No, I
because
appreciate that.
it's no, absolutely, man, because coming into it, bro, like, you it's so easy to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Like,
yes.
it's so easy to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and expect it's so easy to expect yourself to win in the same way that somebody else won. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? It's so easy to look at somebody else and say, like, well, if it happened to them and if I follow this exact plan, if I follow this exact blueprint, then it should happen to me. And when it don't happen to you, you like, what the fuck is going on? And it's
Facts.
so easy to forget that you're not them, you're you.
Yeah.
And that your path is for you, and that this process, this is your process, and that this journey, this is your journey, bro. So,
Facts.
god damn, RT, that one really hit home. I'm not even about to lie to you.
Thank you, bro. And I think something that I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm sure it's somebody that do. Stop being your worst enemy. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times, bro, what stops us is us. You know what I mean? And that's the only thing that can. And bro, when you were talking, it reminded me of this quote that I seen not too long ago, bro. The quote was it said, God told me to love my enemies, and I obeyed, and I chose to love myself. I'm going to say it one more time. God told me to love my enemies, and I obeyed, and I chose to love myself. And that quote was resonated with me, bro, because a lot of times I found myself being my biggest enemy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good enough. I got to do this. Like, trying to just be a perfectionist is one of the biggest forms of self abuse. You know what I mean? And I was a big advocate in that, because I was the one that was like, this is not good enough. This is not, and I wasn't celebrating my little wins. And when I started to celebrate my little wins and let go and stop being my own enemy, I started to see more results, and I was happier, because, like you said, the gratitude of things of, yeah, we might not have 1 million followers right now, but we almost at 1,000, and I'm so fucking thankful for every fucking follower we got, because they took their time out to follow us, and I'm celebrating every little win until we get that big win, and I'm no longer going to be my own enemy, because one thought can ruin your whole day.
Mm, man, and I think that one right there, bro. Like, we'll sit back, man, and say like, oh, well, you know why people quit, why people give up, but the reality is that people will give up when the they don't see the recognition that they envision.
Facts.
People will give up when they start to listen to themselves more than the results that they're receiving. And what
Come
I
on
mean
now.
by that is that people will start to give up when they see in themselves get to, because me and you are always on two different sides of the coin with it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, just because of, and me and you, we just got done talking about this because this is new for you and this is something that I've been doing. So
Facts.
you're looking at it and you're like this, like, oh man, we about to hit 1,000, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting back like, damn, why we haven't hit 10 yet? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I envy, bro. I'm gonna be completely honest. There's moments where I envy that right there, because of the simple fact of, I wish that I can enjoy it the way that you do, and I
Yeah.
have to remind myself to enjoy it in the way that you're enjoying it, because a lot of people, man, like, they have struggled just to even just to see, a quarter of what we're getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really stands out the most when people will quit when they don't see the recognition that they envisioned.
Right.
And I don't know who needs to hear this, but recognition is recognition. And I'll say that one more time. Recognition
No.
is recognition. You know what
No.
I mean? It may not be by the right it may not be by a certain person that you want it. It may not be by a certain number that you want it, but the simple fact that you're being recognized is something that you still need to take into consideration, because it's very easy to get complacent in gratitude.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And bro, I think, like you said, I think you explained that perfectly. And I think just to piggyback on it, bro, is I think looking at it from a different perspective where, like you said, it is like, damn, we not at 10K. And I know you're used to high number of followers, but for me, you know how hard it is for 10 people to reach out to us, that inbox us and say, you changed my life. Like, so sometimes it's like, yeah, we can have 10K, but yet nobody like we're getting inboxes, bro, from people saying this saved me. Like this episode saved my life. This episode inspired me. This episode was the reason I didn't quit. So for me, and it might be the therapist in me, in therapy, something that they tell us from when we first started to be therapists, don't think you're going to save everybody. If somebody come in at a 10 and you get them to a 6, that's a win. If you got 10 people but you only able to help one, that's a win. So that's something that they embedded in me early on in my career, but I brought it over to our podcast because, like I said, every day I wake up, I'm seeing guys and women, not just guys, both parties writing us, telling us, look, this episode is the reason I stepped it up this week. This episode is the reason I didn't give up. This episode is the reason I set boundaries. So those type of wins right there, it's so hard to inspire someone. And to me, that's the true win, where it's like, yeah, I want the numbers and I want the accolades, but to know that we're actually making a difference with the amount of followers that we got right now is one of the biggest things for me, where I did not see that coming in. And I'm like, damn, this is a form of therapy in itself.
Now, speaking of therapy, bro, man, if you don't mind me just asking this question, a lot of times, when somebody starts something new and they feel like they're not seeing the results that they thought they were going to see immediately, what are some things that you tell them in order for them to keep going?
One of the biggest things, bro, for a lot of my clients, I make them do treatment plans. And in the treatment plans, bro, I make it. And what's funny is, for the normal person, this just goals and objectives. You know what I mean? So I set realistic goals. You know what I mean? So, for instance, I always say, ask the 3 whys. You know what I mean? So if somebody comes to me and like, I don't trust people. Okay, why? You know what I mean? They might come back with, well, because I was hurt in the past. Okay, I ask another why. I was hurt in the past because I was vulnerable and I really didn't understand the situation for what it was at the time. Okay, my last why, because I didn't have a father figure. I didn't have a stable family. So it's always a reason why. And then I set realistic goals.
Back the layer.
Huh?
To peel back the layer.
Absolutely, bro. And I set realistic goals to work through that. You know what I mean? So for somebody that's starting something new, I say set realistic goals and attainable goals. So if your goal is to be in shape, don't off rip say, I'm going to the gym 7 days a week. How realistic is that? Start off with, I'm going to go to the gym once a week. When you see that, that does something to the confidence. It boosts it. It helps the self-esteem, where it's like, damn, I did do that. I'm going to try for 2 times a week. And then you start with baby steps and you get so many little wins that it builds up your confidence and your self-esteem to where you feel like you got the momentum to do anything.
I love that, bro, man. I love that, man. And one of the biggest things that just still stands out with me, man, is the simple fact that if you knew how many people were rooting for you, quitting wouldn't be on your mind. You know what I mean? And I say that, man, because it's so easy to get caught up in the simple fact that you're not doing this, or you're not getting the numbers that you wanted, or you're not getting the results that you felt like you wanted, or you're not where you want to be. But if you could see the people that were rooting for you, or if you could feel the inspiration that others get from you when they see you still walking in your purpose, I guarantee you a lot of people would just think they will reconsider walking away from a situation or quitting a situation.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, bro, like you said, when you're thinking about quitting, just understand the cost of regret. The cost of regret is going to cost you a lot more than the action ever will, because that's something you can never get back. That's something
bro.
like
And
the cost of regret will literally cost you way more than an action ever would have if you would have, because that's something that you can't get back.
Man, I love the fact that you even said that, bro, because I remember one time I sat back and I talked about that. Where quitting is easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's very easy to quit, bro. It's
yeah,
very easy to listen to that voice inside your head that's very convincing. It's very
yeah,
confident, because that's really it. Right before you about to quit, that
yeah,
voice inside your head, it's your voice, but
yeah,
it's a lot more confident. It's a lot more persuasive. And
yeah,
you will quit just like that. Matter of
yeah,
fact, you put anybody under any type of pressure. Let me
yeah,
rephrase that. You put anybody under the right amount of pressure, and I
yeah,
guarantee you they will quit. I've seen it. I've seen it.
yeah,
But when they walk away from the situation, because quitting, that's an immediate relief. But when you walk away from it, man, that regret that eats you, because you
yeah,
always going to sit back and say to yourself, like, damn, man, what if I would have just gave a little more? What if
yeah,
I just would have lasted a little bit more? What if I just would have went there on this day? You know what I mean? And that will stay
absolutely.
with you for a long period of time. So you were 100% right, bro.
Bro, now I got a question for you, for the military folks, bro. How is quitting viewed and how is quitting approached in a military? Because that's something that seems like you always got to have tough skin. So, how is that dealt with in the service, bro?
Bro, quitting in the military is not heard of. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's done. Don't get me wrong. Now it's done. I've seen a
Mhm.
lot of people quit, because you just heard me say it. I've seen a lot of people quit. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of people quit, bro. But
Yeah.
quitting in the military, it doesn't look like the way that it would look like for somebody else. You know
Gotcha.
what I mean? And what I mean by that is that I've seen people quit in a way that they won't verbally say it, but their actions will reflect what they truly want. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
they'll say like, I won't give up, but their bodies will stop performing in the way that they're supposed to. They'll tune
Absolutely.
you out. They've already quit. They just want you to pull them out of it so it can be completed. And
Absolutely.
the reason why is because, once again, I mean, being in the military, bro, like, there's that no give up mindset, that no back
Yeah.
down mindset, that no retreat mindset.
Yeah.
So it's embedded into us at such a early point in our careers that you're not going to quit. But at the exact same time, life does happen to you.
Right.
Life does happen to you. So I hear a lot of excuses of why they can't do this. All of a sudden they got a fucking injury. All of a
Yeah.
sudden they got something going on, or it's somebody else working against them. But the reality is that you quit, and I know you did.
Yeah. And if you don't, I think working with a lot of people that's in the service, bro, and I have worked with so many, I see even if they
Mm-hmm.
didn't quit, their psyche was never the same after. You know what I mean? Because when they come to therapy, it was, oh, I couldn't say this part, or I couldn't announce this, or they would look at me different, like, I could lose a rank or whatever it may be. So they bottled so much stuff in. So like you said, it's even how you deal with not quitting is, I think, a huge thing that we don't talk about. Like, yeah, you shouldn't quit, but understand that growth does not look like how it looks in a movie. You know what I mean? When you're growing as a person and when you're reaching new levels, it's somebody right now that's in a fucking storm where everything you're trying to do feels like it's fucking against you. It feels like you
Mm-hmm.
can't, you 10 steps ahead. Every time you take 2 steps, you get knocked seven. And I know I'm speaking to somebody because life is lifing right now, is what they
Come
say.
on now.
And it's hitting.
Come on now.
So right now I'm letting you know you're close to your biggest blessing, so don't quit, but understand that the storm and the ugly means that you're on the right path, because a lot of times they act like,
Mm.
oh, when I'm healing and when I'm becoming the best version of me, this is gonna look beautiful. No, it's gonna look horrible. You're gonna be in some
Mm-hmm.
shitty situations that make you feel like, why the fuck is this happening to me? But just know that's what it really looks like when you're upgrading and you're
Come on
growing.
now.
It's ugly.
Mm, And I remember we talked about that on a previous episode,
Yeah,
where if you not your purpose, your gift, the achievement is supposed to have an opposition of an equivalent. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's supposed to have an opposition that's on the exact same level. You
yeah.
know, if it was easy, then the opposition would be easy as well.
Facts.
But if it was something that's worth something to you,
Yeah,
then obviously the obstacle is going to be something that you have to get over, that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what makes you appreciate it more. And a lot of times, man, like, you know, somebody will have this big dream or they have this big want, but
Right.
then they get beat by the opposition that is only as big as the dream it is. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it's like, if you're not encountering some type of opposition, if you're not encountering some type of obstacle within your path, then you got to sit back and ask yourself, like, damn, like, am I on the right path?
Right.
You know, like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
You know, because if the purpose, if I'm on the right path, walking in my purpose, and there's no opposition, I might be going in the wrong direction.
Right.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest things right there, bro. Oh my
Yeah.
God, man, you talking your shit today. You
Man,
talking
we
your
talking-
shit today,
Hey, we
now.
both talking crazy, man. We both talking
Hey,
crazy.
man, come on now.
We both talking crazy.
But with that, man, like, one thing that I really want to just say as we come to a close of this episode is that the hardest thing that you're going to do is get through it on the days where you want to quit the most. And I mean, you said it before, you know, like, you hear some of the greatest athletes, you hear some of the greatest minds, you hear some of, you know, the top people in this world speak about the days where they wanted to give up the most. And
Yeah.
it's on the days where you want to give up the most where you have to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody could be a winner on a good day. Everybody can have everybody could want to show up to practice when they had a good day at practice. They
Yeah.
can show up, you know, everybody can show up to the gym when they had a good day at the gym. Everybody can continue to keep moving forward when there's nothing in your path. But on the days when there's things in your path, on the days when you had a bad day, on the days
Yeah.
when you had a bad time, those are the moments where it matters the most, because that's how champions are born. That's how you achieve your success. That's how you find out, you know, what you're truly made of.
Yeah. Yeah. And to somebody right now, he's speaking directly to you. He's letting you know right now that they're not more talented than you. They're not better than you. They're not more fit for the position than you. They don't deserve that position over you. That business is not better than yours. But the only difference is those people are not quitting when it get hard. Like I say, accountability is big with us. We always talk about accountability. Ask yourself, we got a couple of months left of this year. Are you going as hard as you can? Because if you not on the days, because I'm not talking about going hard when you got the momentum. I'm talking about on those bad days. Are you still going as hard as you are on the good days? That's what we got to think about, and that's what I challenge every one of you to do. On your worst days, like you said, still perform, still produce as much as you can, because that's what's going to separate you from the rest of the bunch.
100%, man. 100%. And with that being said, man, I know you got one for us, so let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Now I do, bro. Now this one, I hope it's not too touching, but it is one that resonated with me because I do have a lot of friends that serve. But someone wrote in and it said, I just got medically discharged a couple of years ago, and I gave so much of my life to the service. It feels like I'm starting over and I have no passions. What advice do you have for me?
Gotta let that one resonate for a second.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I would say is that, because a lot of us, a lot of times, you know, especially in the military, and you hear it a lot from veterans, is that when they exit, you got to think about it. For the past 4 years, you have been on this consistent, this routine, essentially.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And a lot of us come in at 18, 17, 19. Some come in a little older, but it's still the exact same. 4
Yep.
years, you've been on this exact same routine.
Yeah.
You've been around the exact same type of people. You've
No.
been around you've been embedded in this culture for for such a long period of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you leave, it's almost as if like you're losing a piece of yourself, you know? And during that transition out, bro, like the hardest part is that you don't know what your passions, you don't know what you don't know who you are.
Facts.
You don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So I say, when you finally transition out, the first step that you need to do is to get reacquainted with who you are.
Facts.
You got to get reacquainted with who you are,
Yeah.
because this version of you now, you're not the service member, you're the veteran now.
Yeah.
So we got to see how this version of you is. You don't know this version of yourself yet.
Right.
So to say like, hey, I don't know my passions, you don't know the passions of this version. And I know that may sound cliche, but you
No,
got to
it's true.
think about it like you're transitioning out.
Yeah.
So the first thing, because it's going to happen to me soon, it's going to eventually happen to me, and I'm going to have to get reacquainted with myself and get reacquainted with who I am, not staff sergeant whoever or gunner sergeant whoever. I
Yeah.
got to get reacquainted with Demetrius, the veteran now.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Ooh, that was a
perfect.
hard one. Hey,
No,
hey,
that
that
was
one
good.
was tough. I ain't even
Yeah,
about to lie, and that one's
that
close to home.
no, it hit. No, it definitely hit when he said it, and bro, I think you said it beautifully. And the only thing I would add is just try everything. You at a point in your life where you don't know, so try everything. Like everything that Meech just said, literally do that. You know what I mean? But try everything and realize that a lot of times, too, us as males and females, but I just want to speak to the guys for a minute. Us as males, sometimes we pick careers off income. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
literally find your passion and then try to turn that into a profession. So you have the opportunity where, you have a fresh start where you can look at what do you like. So I literally say, if you ever had an interest in anything, try it. You know what I mean? And like I said, just try to find peace and happiness, and like you said, in a new version of you.
Bro, man, like that really makes me realize is that you got to think about it, like, and you just really hit it. You hit the nail right on the head. Is that it's so important for you to try everything because you probably didn't have that time. You didn't have that opportunity when you were in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously you weren't in that mindset before you stepped in. So now that you have a different mindset and you have that time, bro, try everything, bro. Like a lot of
Yeah.
times, like people always sit back and they say that I'm above this or I never do this, bro. Like give it a shot. You don't know what you like. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and a lot of times, like you won't know what you like until you actually try it.
Facts.
Pause. 100%, man. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Check the show notes. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, and we will see you next week.